Welcome. Good morning. I'm Lori Douglas, and I'll be your worship associate this morning for the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Charlotte County. I also have the honor to serve you as president of this board of trustees for our group. We begin our service each week by singing that invitation to gather together, even as we are scattered in many different places, and whether our sacred space be virtual or live. We have a lot of gratitude this morning. First off, I want to talk about the wonderful auction. Thanks to Fred and Kay and all who participated and shared generously in both time and treasure last night. And it was a very successful event. Thanks to Fred and Kay. And you will be hearing and seeing more from Fred online about results. Thank you. Also, supporting our technology this morning, Corey, Tom, and Sharon is here. Yay, Sharon. All right, good deal. Yes. Thanks to Trudy and the Building and Grounds team and all others who made this physical place this morning a joy to be held. We also honor Jim today in person, who's here to share his musical creations. And Linda and members of the UUFCC Quarantine Choir, who have performed the recorded music in their very own homes and put it together for us to share this morning. And thanks to our membership committee and our team of greeters whom you met today. And we are also very pleased to welcome back Reverend Kathy Schmitz to share her message in person. Yay! This service is being broadcasted live on YouTube, and once again will be shared live on Zoom on the universal link and be followed by a virtual social time. We're trying again. We're going to get this right. The YouTube recording will also be available on the UUFCC YouTube channel after the service. And that does result in a little bit of patience needed by everybody because there's a slight delay to close us down and start up that YouTube connection. Now I'd like to remind you of a couple of simple procedures that will help us to run a little bit more smoothly. First of all, this would be a good time to put your phones in meditation mode, please. For those with us virtually, you may wish to have a chalice or a candle available for your home chalice lighting ritual. And for those in the sanctuary, when the service is over, please exit through this front door here. And now that it is warmer, we ask that you enjoy the patio for our social time. Thank you. All right. And for those who need a smooth surface to exit the building, feel free to exit out the double doors in the back the way we came in. You are welcome here no matter who you are, no matter where you came from, no matter your background. You are welcome here to join us as we proclaim worth in our spiritual journeys. You're welcome to join us as we share songs that uplift our very beings. You're welcome to join us in community as we learn, live, and love together. Now, if you are new here, please stand in body or spirit or wave so that we can welcome you, or if you haven't been around in a while, wave. Okay, we've all been around a while here. Yay. Next, if you are new at home and would like to learn more about our fellowship, you can email Mary Jane at office@uufcc.org, which is the same as our website. And wherever you are, we're glad you've chosen to spend your morning with us. We'll now open this sacred space by turning our attention to the chalice through some words by Reverend Scott Taylor. Reverend Taylor served as the UUA Director of Congregational Life until June of 2017 and did a lot of his work over the years, it seems like, in creative system work to help us do a better job. After these words, Nina is going to help us out by lighting the chalice here in the sanctuary. We light this flame as an act of faith. We come with our doubts, worn out and worn down, wanting once again to trust, to believe that hope is not as fragile as it sometimes seems, that division is not as deep as it sometimes appears. And so we light this flame as an act of faith, a reminder, a redeclaration, a rekindling of the trust that darkness can't ever shut out the light, that kindness is more powerful than we know, that humility and accountability allow us to change, that together we can most certainly bend the arc of this beautiful universe toward justice. So while Nina's coming up to light our chalice here in the sanctuary, please join me in reciting our affirmation. Shortly after, there will be time to light your chalices at home. Love is the spirit of this fellowship, and service is its law. This is our aspiration, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth in love, and to help one another. I invite you now to light your home chalice or candles. Jim, our music director, will now share the Prelude Sonata by Anselmo Viola. Jim, that was fantastic. Thank you. Wow. Our opening words today are called This Faith by Heidi Cottam. There's a Walk the Talk award given to the Unitarian Universalist layperson for living a life which best exemplifies Unitarian Universalist principles. In 2018, the award went to Ms. Cottam of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Ogden, Utah. Coincidentally, Laura and Cliff's up north congregation. Let us be a faith that gathers, reaching for one another through the walls of hate others build. Through the cages of ignorance and arrogance, through the fear that burns city streets. Let us be a faith that sees a vision of a better world, more compassionate, more just, more holy, and with more love. There is a faith that binds up the broken, cauterizes battle wounds with the balm of peace, sings louder and longer than the trumpets of war. Let us be that faith too. Let us be the ones who do not tread lightly in this world, but light it up with our love, who hold up the mirror of worth and dignity, who are the sanctuary that others seek. But first, let us be a faith that worships together here this morning, in this space, at this moment. Let us be a faith. We are now going to settle in for a story for all ages from Reverend Kathy by the name of God's Hat.
Good morning. I do so love being able to actually be with you. So this is a story that is based on an African legend, and my colleague Christopher Bice heard it third hand, and so the details are his invention. Once upon a time, there was a village with a road that went straight through the center of town. One day, something strange happened. God walked down the road, and she was beautiful. She wore a long flowing robe, and on top of her hat was the most wonderful, her head was the most wonderful hat. All the people stopped to stare as God walked by. They kept staring until she disappeared out of sight. Boy, God sure was beautiful, said one man. And what a beautiful blue hat she had on. Yes, God was beautiful, said a woman from the other side of the street, but that wasn't a blue hat she was wearing. It was a red hat. You're wrong. It was definitely a blue hat. You're wrong. It was a red hat. As the two argued, others joined in the village, in the dispute, and soon the whole village was arguing. So, blue, join me. Blue, red, blue, red, blue, red. And so it went. All the people on one side were sure God was wearing a blue hat, and all the people on the other side were sure God was wearing a red hat. They started screaming at each other, and finally they decided to build a wall right down the middle of the street. From that point on, the people on one side of the wall were enemies with the people who lived on the other side of the wall, and they never spoke to each other. On one side of the wall, they built a church where they worshipped a God who wore a blue hat. And on the other side, they built a church where they worshipped a God that wore a red hat. Many years passed, and the people were still enemies. Then, one day, God came walking back through the village. She was balancing on top of the wall. And this time she was wearing no hat at all. All the people ran to the wall and they cried, "You must settle our argument." A man said, "All the people on that side of the street say that when you walked through our village years ago, you were wearing a blue hat. But we know better. We know you were wearing a red hat. So tell us, God, what color was your hat?" God looked puzzled for a moment and began to scratch her head. "I think I remember walking through this village." That was many years ago. And on that day, I believe I was wearing my hat that's blue on one side and red on the other. And then, saying nothing more, God continued walking down the wall until she was out of sight. It was very quiet for a moment, and suddenly there was the sound of a child laughing. And then another child started laughing, and soon the whole village was roaring with laughter, and everyone was laughing because they realized how foolish they had been. And as the sound of the laughter grew, the wall started to shake and crumble until finally it tumbled to the ground. And for many, many years after that, people told the story of God's hat and how laughter had torn down the wall between a divided and foolish people.
There's nothing to say after that. Please.
Your mask.
Oh, thank you. So there's nothing to say after that, yes. Please join us in humming or soft singing our recorded music, Come, Come, Whoever You Are. We have a long tradition at UUFCC of sharing our joys, sorrows, and life milestones by entering them into the Book of Life. These messages can be written in the Red Book at the back of the sanctuary, which Mary is going to be bringing forward shortly. Those at home are welcome to email your entries into the Book of Life at uufcc.org. Messages should be sent no later than Saturday prior to the service. And all the entries will be read by the worship associate Sunday morning. After that, emailed messages will be actually written into the Red Book that Mary's bringing up. After I've completed the reading, we will enter into a moment of silence, followed by a meditation with Reverend Kathy and myself. Thank you, Mary. I don't think there's anything in it. Okay, thank you. Today, we have multiple entries here. Sonia Waters is remaining under hospice care at Life Care Center in Punta Gorda on Shreve Street. She would love visits even if she doesn't always recognize the visitors. Dennis and Gudrun are best informed of her situation. COVID has hit our congregation continually now. John L. is home with COVID, even though he was on last night with us. We know that Samara is recovering well from COVID, but lasting symptoms are there. And Lena, who was with us just 3 to 4 weeks ago, is in ICU with COVID and has been on a ventilator for over 2 weeks. Please send your prayers and positive intentions to all of these people. Lena's family prefers to not receive contact at this time, Facebook or any text or nothing right now. Mary Holly, on the other hand, is recovering well after her heart surgery on Friday. So we're glad that that went well, and she's still got a little ways to go, but she's recovering successfully. So, that's just hard. Yeah. We think we're out of the water, but we're not out of the water, right? Okay. May we hold these and our unspoken joys and sorrows in our hearts. May we also hold one another in love and tenderness, so that this fellowship may be a source of strength and comfort, courage and hope in the days and weeks ahead. Thank you. Okay.
Sometimes in our Unitarian Universalist congregations, and in your affirmation in particular, we say, love is the spirit of this congregation or this church. It's a simple message, but one that challenges us again and again to open our hearts. Love is the spirit of this church. This morning, we're going to invite you to practice one way of being more loving. It comes from the Buddhist tradition, and it's called metta, or loving kindness meditation. It is a practice that goes with the teachings that I talked about last month, and it also supports our topic for today. Now, whenever you are offered a invitation, you have a choice. If you aren't ready to try it, you can just sit quietly while others do. In loving kindness meditation, you start with yourself and offer loving thoughts. Then you make bigger and bigger circles of loving thoughts. So I'm going to guide this, and Lori will be offering the actual words of meditation. So we invite you now to a time of meditation and reflection. We invite you to sit firmly but comfortably. You might like to lower or close your eyes. Relax and breathe. I invite you to begin with yourself and think these thoughts.
May I be free from danger and unafraid. May I be happy in body, mind, and spirit. May I live with ease of well-being.
At any time, you can return to this place and offer yourself care and concern. Now, as we open our circle, if you like, bring to mind a person you love or for whom you have deep gratitude.
May this person be free from danger and unafraid. May this person be happy in body, mind, and spirit. May this person live with ease of well-being.
Now, opening wider. If you like, bring to mind a person who you like or who you're fond of.
May this person be free from danger and unafraid. May this person be happy in mind, body, and spirit. May this person live with ease of well-being.
Now, if you like, bring to mind a person about whom you feel neutral. Perhaps the person you bought your coffee from this morning or someone you saw out walking their dog.
May this person be free from danger and unafraid. May this person be happy in mind, body, and spirit. May this person live with ease of well-being.
And now, opening wide, if you like, and if you're ready, bring to mind a person you have difficulty with. For now, don't choose your most challenging person. This is a practice. Begin slowly. Remember that you can always return to offering care and concern for yourself. Now bring this person to mind.
May this person be free from danger and unafraid. May this person be happy in mind, body, and spirit. May this person live with ease of well-being.
And finally, I invite you to offer your care and concern to all the world.
May all beings be free from danger and unafraid. May all beings be happy in mind, body, and spirit. May all beings live with ease of well-being.
Love. Love is the spirit of this church. A simple message, yes, but one that challenges us again and again and again to open our hearts ever wider. Let us take just a moment in shared silence.
Please join us in Spirit of Life. Thank you and welcome, Kathy, for our sermon on your lily pad.
My lily pad. Today, I'd like to invite you to visit my lily pad. Welcome. My lily pad is a metaphor for my worldview. Everything I know or think I know and how I have made sense of it. My lily pad is pretty good sized. If I sit down in the middle of it, I can barely see the edges. I am untroubled by anything out there beyond the edge of my lily pad. Nothing that might distress me or call my understanding into question tends to reach me here in the middle of my lily pad. It's a pretty comfortable place. Perhaps you have a lily pad too, a place where you can sit and feel comfortable as you gaze about. I want to acknowledge that not everyone's lily pad is quite as comfortable as mine. I acknowledge a certain amount of privilege to have such a place of unquestioned comfort. But I do like my lily pad. Now, since we're going to be spending some time on lily pads today, I want to invite those of you who are metaphorically challenged to do your best to play along. I'll try to give you some markers along the way. And also, I just want to point out that, like most metaphors, this one is fragile, and you can probably break it with very little effort. So you're not going to get any gold stars for doing that. So let go of that and play along. It's probably also important to mention that this is a magic lily pad. And so I apologize in advance to any botanists or amateur lily pad experts among us who are likely to be troubled by some of the claims I'm going to make about my lily pad. Now, when I was little, my lily pad was little and my vision was short. First, I could see only my family, and that was what made up my lily pad. Then I could see my neighborhood and then my small town, and my lily pad grew. Whenever I became aware of something beyond my lily pad, I could wander over to the edge and explore it. Think about what this means. We can wander over to the edge of everything we know and learn more. And here's the magic. As we stand on the edge of meaning, on the edge of all of our understanding, and we take more in, right there, under our feet, the lily pad grows. Something that was out there, outside of our understanding, can be incorporated into our worldview, and the lily pad grows. Maybe this has happened to you. It can be nerve-wracking, standing on the edge, facing the unknown. It can be tempting to turn around and run back to the center of the lily pad, to drop our gaze or look the other way. It can be tempting. It can be tempting to reject opportunities to grow. But here's the thing. If you are brave enough to stand on the edge, to risk falling into the unknown, when we do this, we grow and our worldview grows. And then, when we do go back to the center of our lily pad for a rest, we can look any way we want with confidence, without fear. And the world we understand is fuller and richer and likely more accurate than the world we knew before. All because we did not turn away from new understanding. It's good to grow our lily pads. Perhaps you can think of a time when you faced something new, the unknown, and had the opportunity to grow. We've actually had a lot of common opportunities in the last 2 years. In February of 2020, a month before shutdown, many of us had never done Zoom before, and now it's a regular form of communication. We've experienced so many new things, and as we've embraced them, we have more confidence. We can see things more clearly. And while most of us are really looking forward to that time when we can all be together without concern, what we have learned has grown our lily pads, individually and collectively. Think about just worship. Being online and hybrid means that if we choose, we now have new ways to include people who've moved away, to include people who aren't feeling well today, who are homebound or immunocompromised, who are traveling or snowbirding. If we choose, we can welcome a family who had too much of a meltdown this morning to get here, a shy person not ready yet to walk through our door, folks from another congregation whose worship team needed a break this morning, or a guest speaker from the other side of the country. It can be challenging to grow our lily pads, but when we do, we have so much to gain. Our circle of concern of who we can include expands. I'm reminded of our third Unitarian Universalist principle that says, we covenant to affirm and promote acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations. We encourage growth. The principle specifically calls out spiritual growth. And as you may remember, I use the word spiritual to refer to how we are connected, whether to nature or to God or to the universe or to human community. For me, creating a larger and richer and more accurate worldview represents spiritual growth. It helps us better understand our place in the world and our connections to it. It helps us make meaning. We encourage growth. That's what the third Unitarian Universalist Association principle says. But I don't want to move off the principle without also noting that it first says we affirm and promote acceptance of one another, right? For this acceptance is the way that we can help each other find the center of our lily pads. Because I really do wish for everyone to have a place where they can go back to with comfort when they need it. We accept one another. We help each other know that we are enough. Because sometimes life is rough. Even those of us with fairly robust lily pads will sometimes get knocked about. In my mind, the images of when a wake of a boat comes along and the lily pad is going like this, right? And you don't want to get knocked off. It's a good idea to be in the center. When life is giving us challenges, significant losses, or even meaningful transitions, it might not be the best time to be running over to the edge looking for more challenges. I remember once I signed up for a retreat. My mom had just died, and I thought this time away with colleagues sounded really good. But when I arrived at the retreat, I realized I hadn't focused on the program content, and it was a fairly challenging topic. And I wasn't in a good place for the challenging opportunity that unfolded. It was easy for me to get mad at the retreat organizers for making me feel uncomfortable. In reality, what they had offered was a rich opportunity that under other circumstances I would have really appreciated. I try to remember that time so that in the future, when I find myself in such places, I can just excuse myself or do whatever it is I need to take care of myself and not lash out at others who have done nothing wrong. Perhaps you can think of a time when you really needed to be in the center of your lily pad, or when someone else needed to be in the center of their lily pad and they declined an opportunity you were offering them. Can we learn to be compassionate with ourselves and each other at times like this? Our loving kindness meditation today is a reminder of the way we can expand our circles of concern outward, opening our hearts to greater and greater circles, increasing the chances that we will understand the experiences and perspectives of another. And even when we can't understand, can we at least offer compassion? We all have times we need to go to center. When we need more acceptance. We need acceptance more than we need another chance to grow, another growth opportunity. When what we need most is just to be okay with who we are today. And then, when we are ready, it's time to venture out again. When I ventured out after the retreat, I found that my lily pad had indeed grown again, not with so much the content of the retreat, but my life experience now included losing my last parent, something I had understood only intellectually before, and now understood at a deeper level. And of course, while I could try to protect myself during my grieving time, we can't protect ourselves from all challenges. I did not, for example, choose to lose my mother. Some changes aren't optional. Growing from them is, though. Sometimes we choose the growth, and sometimes the growth chooses us. I think of the villagers in our earlier story. Half of them had a view of God that wore a red hat, and that became a worldview. The other half saw God with a blue hat. Both missed the opportunity to expand their understanding to the possibility of a red and blue hat. And both missed out on the opportunity to grow their understanding, to understand that God's hat didn't even matter. We can really miss out when we pass up opportunities to grow our lily pads. Now, I first started understanding my lily pad after attending a workshop about 9 years ago with Reverend Dr. Mark Hicks. Dr. Hicks is a professor of religious education at Meadville Lombard Theological School, which trains Unitarian Universalist ministers. He's also the creator of Beloved Conversations, a program with which I think some of you are familiar. The title of the workshop was Dancing on the Edge of Meaning. I kept imagining what that would look like, dancing on the edge of meaning. That week, I learned lots of things about expanding our understanding and challenging our preconceived notions. And over the course of the week, my lily pad emerged in my mind. There I was, joyfully encountering new learning, up on my toes, twirling about, tipping over the edge, leaning back, widening my understanding, watching my lily pad grow. So a few years later, I happened to have an occasion to take another workshop with Dr. Hicks. And I mentioned my lily pad to him, and he seemed really bemused. He's like, "Really? That's what you got out of the workshop?" Okay. So as I described this to you, I decided not to use images because I want you to be able to do whatever you want with it. But let me offer you some options for your lily pads. Expansion packs, if you will. So what happens when the new thing we learn proves something that we used to know false? Say we grew up in a religious tradition that labels some people sinners. And in our current understanding, we instead see those same people as children of love. What happens to the part of the lily pad that represents that old understanding? Should we cut it off? Let it float away? Pretend it never existed? Would that in fact be an accurate representation of reality? I wonder if instead we might let those old understandings be sort of discoloration in our lily pad, right? Something that stays with us, part of our lily pad that no longer defines us, something that gives us insight into those who continue to hold a view that we no longer agree with. If you have come from such a place, you understand it so much better than those who never have. Are there blemishes in your lily pad? Reminders of an understanding that you have let go of, but which continues to inform your world. Another thing I think about when I think about lily pads is the Asian understanding of a lotus. It's an understanding that that beauty that we see on the surface of the water, in fact, has its roots in the mud and the muck below. The worldview represented by our lily pad may seem neat and clean, but I would guess that for most of us, an honest look at what lies beneath would show that we have been through a good deal of mud and muck to become the person that we are today. What mud and muck has nurtured you to be the you that you are today? Thinking about my lily pad comes in helpful when I encounter some of the challenging learning that the world asks of me today. For example, issues around race and disability and gender identity, we are called to expand our understanding. Sometimes I want to run back to the middle of my privileged little lily pad. And honestly, sometimes I do. But I try. I really do, to go dancing instead. I shimmy right up to the edge of everything that I understand, and I get up on my tiptoes and I twirl around, and I engage with what I find there. Even when it's scary, even when it's hard, even when I mess up. Because if I do, if I keep on dancing, keep exploring that edge right there, under my feet, the magic happens. I find that I'm no longer standing precariously on a shaking leaf edge with waves lapping at my feet. Something has shifted. My perspective has changed. My world has grown, and my lily pad is bigger. And the gift of this engagement has been a fuller, deeper, truer view of the world I live in. And this is the real magic with which I'll leave you. When this happens, when my understanding of the world becomes fuller and deeper and truer, then I rest secure that in growing my lily pad, in widening my circle, I have made the world better, not only for me, but for everyone that I encounter. May it be so.
Thank you. Jim will be sharing our Piano Concerto No. 2 by Rachmaninoff. I don't know about the rest of you, but I will share that the edge of my lily pad is further away now between the words from Reverend Kathy and Jim's music. Wow. Okay. So, in our tradition, congregations exist because of their generous support of members and friends. We certainly saw that last night and throughout the efforts of the auction. It is our privilege and our responsibility to ensure the health and the future of this fellowship. To this end, your offerings to support this ministry and this fellowship, whether by pledge or by donation, can be done in several ways. You can drop your donation in the baskets that are being passed around by the greeters. For those at home, you can mail checks in, or drop them in your mailbox, or make other arrangements, which you are aware of. And if you need help, give a ring to Mary Jane. If you're with us for the first time, I don't believe anybody was. Nope, I think we're good. Okay. But if you are at home, you're not expected to give a gift monetarily today. Your presence is our gift. Now we will enjoy a unique arrangement of the Building Bridge Hymn, performed by Dr. Glenn Thomas Rideout, Director of Worship and Music, and Allison Hallertz, pianist in residence, who were at the General Assembly of 2002. This is a protest song that came by a long way to get to us, to the General Assembly, and get to you today. It was discovered by a British Quaker named Elizabeth Cave. She heard the song at a Greenham Common Women's Camp that was a peaceful sit-in at a nuclear energy plant in England. She then sent it on to a Britain Yearly Children's Meeting magazine, where it was published, and it went up to other collections and ended up at RGA and our little congregation right here. So with Corey's help, we'll enjoy this very interesting rendition of Building Bridges hymn.
Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, sisters, we can make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, sisters, we can make such sweet harmony.
Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you, will you reach out to me?
I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, sisters, we can make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions, with all of our voices and all of our visions, with all of our voices and all of our visions, sisters, we can make such sweet harmony.
Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you, will you reach out to me?
Will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, sisters, we can make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, sisters, we can make such sweet harmony. Sisters, we can make such sweet harmony. Sisters, we can make such. Sisters, we can make such sweet harmony. Sisters, we can make such sweet harmony.
Sisters, we can make such sweet harmony. Sisters, we can make such sweet harmony.
Sisters, we can make such sweet harmony. Sisters, we can make such sweet harmony.
Yes.
Woo!
Now it's time to highlight our special events and activities. Please remember each week to check your UUFCC updates, which Mary Jane works on so wonderfully. Includes a calendar and links too for Zoom and things that are in person. Today I have the following announcements. After the service, this is the last opportunity for our group meeting for conversation on ministry with Reverend Kathy and two of our board members. All are welcome to that. It will be outside in the patio. We're going to enjoy the weather after the service there. Next week's service will be presented by the newly named Diversity Matters group here. They will be discussing UUA's current activities and reviewing our principles in regards to concerns raised by the eighth principles and examining all kinds of actions, including inclusion and acceptance in so many different ways throughout our faith. During the first week of March, the new proposed bylaws will be distributed. I know you're excited about this. The following week after that, there will be 2 groups available to talk about these bylaws and have question and answers. And we encourage you to attend because you're going to be voting on those at the annual meeting on the 27th of March. Also happy to say that the nominating committee has developed a solid new slate of prospective board and nominating positions and General Assembly representatives. And we'll applaud them when we get there on the 27th. This is very exciting. They put in a lot of work. And on Saturday, coming up March 20th, we will have a service of memory and celebration to honor and celebrate those lives lost for any reason during the pandemic. We've missed those opportunities and those kind of connections, and those that are feeling that need will be invited to join, and it will include not only those in our fellowship, but anybody who needs space for remembering personal losses. It is good and it is comforting that we're learning to find new ways to come together again safely despite the continued virus concerns. So, our closing words today are by Reverend Rod Richards out of Arizona. This is a tongue twister, so stay with me. Ever widening, perfectly imperfect, precisely imprecise. You won't be alone. We'll be side by side with one another, with people yet to come, with partners we have yet to meet, creating ever-widening, perfectly imperfect, precisely imprecise. Circles and ovals and oblong things of beauty as we practice sacred flexibility. Welcoming love and healing pain and demanding justice and saving lives. Go forth and make some new shapes. We now extinguish the chalice, but not the light of hope, the fire of commitment or the warmth of community. Sharon, yes, would you please? Thank you. Please join us now for Go in Peace. Go now in peace. By humming behind our masks or silently.
Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the Spirit of us surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the Spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere.
Time to wake up your phones and take care of each other by chatting at a safe distance and making your way outside. And join Reverend Kathy and the others after a brief break. For those who need a smooth exit for a surface, feel free to use the double door exit in the back. Thank you. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Are we good? Woo! We are good. Perfect timing.